YouTube, thanks for joining me. So I'm going to be talking today about how YouTube has completely changed my life. To start off, my name is Nathan Graham and I'm 26 years old. So I started using YouTube as an educational source. I want to say I was 17, 18. I want the official, time period, time stamp of when I really indulged in YouTube. And around that time, I started to take my life a little bit more seriously, as I would hope, most young men do around that time. And I started getting into Graham Stephan, Dave Ramsey, people like that. And that was just really the start of things. As I got a little bit older and I went into sales, I used Grant Cardone. I used people like Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, that Wolf of Wall Street guy. I cannot think of his name. I used some of those people to, I would take notes and I would try to get better at sales. I would try to find better ways to manage my time, things like that. So that was 2019, give or take. And I started to realize, wow, this is a big platform, not only to, grow an audience, but to learn from. And it was Evan Shanks and TJ Hunt. Those were two car YouTubers who I watched literally come from, making $0, posting, every week. And now they're multimillionaires, set for life. They do what they love. And that's the most important thing about some of these people that I'm going to mention, is that they do what they love, and they started from nothing, or they started from, 0 views, which is of course how you would start a channel. But you get what I'm saying. A lot of them weren't necessarily doing anything crazy in their life. There's a lot of people who came into YouTube after already doing big things, and that's how they've been able to get an audience, because they know so much. But it's really cool. It's really cool to see those people thrive. But when I talk about changing my life, I'm obviously implying that my life wasn't in a good place, or I wasn't in the trajectory of where I wanted to be going. I knew more or less where I wanted to go, the man that I wanted to be, who I wanted to develop into. But taking that action and having the mentors and the list of things to do, tangible things and tangible actions to take, that's where YouTube played a role. People like Tony Robbins, Ed Mylett, Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill, Joe Dispenza. Those are kind of an array of different people, but all together, listening to those people, I was able to take notes from each, and literally take notes in journals, and just spend countless hours in my apartment doing that, versus playing video games. And not to knock anyone, I think the last video game that I ever played was Warzone in 2020 during the pandemic, something like that. I wasn't a huge video game guy, but that's how I would indulge in this YouTube stuff. That was my form of entertainment, because if it wasn't work or the gym, that's basically what I was doing. And sometimes, it would be doom scrolling, and I would just be glued to YouTube and not really taking any action, just kind of using it as a source of entertainment. But I digress. So those people, and I want to also call out the smaller YouTubers that really impacted my life, like Terry Joel Jr., Elisha Long, Mark the Messenger, he's got a lot of subscribers now. But these people, I think Mark the Messenger was a little bit later. Who am I thinking of? On here? Aaron Doughty. He was a big YouTuber who helped me shift my perspective and my way of thinking. And I knew originally, going into COVID, I knew that my mindset wasn't right because I was doing okay in sales, but I wasn't making the money that I wanted to make, and I wasn't the man that I wanted to be. Obviously, I wasn't implementing any habits, any routines that I could stick to and that were solid enough. And so it led me to being depressed. You know, part of it was, I think the pandemic in general, everyone was feeling depressed, but part of it was losing my father when I was young. I wasn't close to my mom. I didn't feel like I had anyone in my life that really cared or wanted to take an interest in me being successful. And I was like, your brain's developing, right? Like you're just going through a bunch of crap. Being 19, being 20 years old, you're like in the middle of things, you know, dating around, and I just like I couldn't commit. I couldn't commit to anything. I definitely couldn't commit to being great at sales. I couldn't commit to, being with one chick or taking a relationship seriously. So there was a lot of things that I needed to work on. A lot of things that I realized about myself where I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm toxic, I'm the problem, right? So sometimes you have that realization with yourself, sometimes you don't. Better to have it sooner rather than later. But all that to say, these YouTubers really help change my life. They help ground me. They help teach me. It's super. Who's another one? Elliot Hulse, Bruce Lipton, the Hodge twins. When I was working out, I still work out. I've been working out since 2018. That was another paradigm shift in my life. I actually had friends that helped me out a lot in the gym and gaining weight. I was super skinny. I was like 135 when I graduated high school, and up until last year I was 210, about 205, and then now I dropped back down to about 278. Or I'm sorry, 278, 178. But lifting's been a big part of my life and changing my life too. And I had some YouTubers that I would watch, like Athlete X or like the Hodge twins, but more so self-development space is what I use YouTube for. But all that to say, after immersing myself with all of that content, my life began to really change in 2020, from like 2020 to now, right? My life began to shift because I started shifting the way I saw people, the way I presented myself, the way that I thought of situations, or like the perspective of losing my father, things like that. So this really just totally shifted who I was, helped me start thinking a lot better. My mom, before she passed away, really tried to help me dig into some of this stuff because she was into that before she did pass away. So that was really cool. My mom definitely did help me out with that. But other than that, I was really estranged from her. We were, separated for most of my life. So it always felt like I didn't really have a mom. So that's why I say I lost my parents when I was younger. But I lost my dad when I was 12 and my mom at 22. So like 10 years apart, same month, pretty crazy. But after, after immersing myself, I was able to break out of those negative belief patterns about how my life was, started to change my perspective on failure as a whole, suffering, found grace in suffering. YouTube's helped me find Christ more, again, through Mark the Messenger, just getting back to my Bible, getting back to the basics of what I learned in church. Somewhat growing up in a Christian and Catholic church, in and out. I also went to a small private school for a while too. It was a Christian school, and not like some fancy schmancy private school. It was, probably like $4 or $5 grand a year, which is still, still super grateful. However, definitely a different kind of indoctrination than public school for sure. But to kind of get back on topic, again, just extremely grateful for finding these people on YouTube and then being able to have that I guess, that willpower and that gut feeling to take action. And it was slow. Like, it took a long time for me to you know, get my head screwed on straight, and you know, my frontal lobe is still developing. So, you know, still plenty of more to come. But all those people, I'm going to kind of dive back into people like Tony Robbins, learning to anchor your negative beliefs, eliminating them, figuring out why you do what you do, why you are at where you're at. And you got to realize that it's you creating that reality. And that's what I learned a lot with diving into Tony Robbins, or people like Joe Dispenza, goes more into quantum physics. And when you start at least opening up your mind to that stuff, it really changes your perspective, or at least gives you like the question mark, leaves a question mark there in your head. So all that to say, you know, exploring different areas of self-improvement, guidance, community support within YouTube, it's just a powerful tool, and if used right, you can of course change your belief patterns, like I mentioned, change your way of thinking, and just completely change your reality, make more money, and live the life that you want to live. I would encourage everyone to look and see if they can find small content creators that you can just you know, there's Robert Edson. He's a guy that I'm kind of gearing towards right now. He's an older compared to me, a little bit older compared to me. But I love hearing his advice. There's you know, whether it be preachers, there's just so many people on YouTube that you can immerse yourself with. Some people you have to pay to get in contact with. Some people you can reach out to for free if they're, you know, if they're small enough, if the channel's just starting out. So I would encourage you to do that, and then you at the same time can see that person build their channel, whether it be make more money, whether it be build a brand. Maybe they're starting to offer a service like a you know, like a coaching program or a course. And you know, I know a lot of people they have a bad taste in their mouth about that stuff, but I have throughout the years not only used YouTube to change my life, but excuse me, I paid for courses, I paid for like crazy therapy sessions. There's so many things that I've immersed myself with, and that I paid for throughout the years, along with looking into different sectors, like going from Bob Proctor to Ed Milet to Patrick Bet-David to Grant Cardone to Graham Stephan to Aaron Dowdy to learning how to meditate. You know, there's so many, like the health with Gary Brecka. There's so many different aspects of YouTube and different rabbit holes you can go down to develop yourself, and it's so overwhelming, but you just got to take it one time, you know, one step at a time. I would suggest going to Walmart and getting 50, 25 of those, you know, 75, 50 cent, 25 cent notebooks, and just go ham on watching content and you know, noting it down. You know, I would argue that that's better time spent than watching Netflix, than doing most of the stuff that we spend time, you know, time wasting stuff, especially, you know, like doom scrolling, things like that. So to kind of wrap up the video, you know, explore those different areas of YouTube,